And we're back for some talking hockey, more specifically the North Division and a couple of other storylines south of the border. But we will start with our lovely Toronto Maple Leafs, who continue to roll in the top of the North. Give it to me.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back win or two wins in our last two games. Monday night against the Canucks and Wednesday night against the Habs. And neither game looking particularly spectacular, but 2 points is 2 points as they continue to roll along.
8-1-1 in their last 10, have won 4 in a row. And even more importantly, they're winning these games in regulation
Yes.
and not giving teams a chance to pick up loser points as they attempt to catch up in the standings. So the Vancouver game uh, was like a game that we probably should have lost and had a quick moment of excitement with the back-to-back goals, and the third line has really started to show itself a little bit, which is what I've been asking for. But I really just want to talk about this Leafs Habs game because this is the game that everyone has been so excited to watch. The first game of the season was a bit of a circus because obviously it's the first game anyone's played in a really long time. But this game was both teams had gone out, beat pretty much everyone else in the division. They're the two top teams coming back head to head. Toronto versus Montreal, tale as old as time. And uh, I got to say, Montreal gave it to us in the first two periods, to be quite blunt. I didn't see much from the Leafs that suggested they were in this. Freddie gave up a gimme to Josh Anderson, but then was pretty solid after that and gave us a chance to win. And up until the kind of third period, I had in my notes here that the first line showed up and not much else. And then things changed, obviously, with three first goals of the seasons for three different players. Travis Dermott with the loudest wahoo I've ever heard. It's just different when there's no fans in the Bell Center, man, and you could hear that very clearly on the broadcast. He was fired up. Justin Hall with the clap bomb, just straight beating Carey Price. I think everyone was surprised that that went in, and then finishing up with Superman, Ilya Mikheyev, in within like a minute of the Justin Hall goal. The Leafs generate pressure. Alex Kerfoot misses on his opportunity, but the puck kind of skips over to Mikheyev and he gets just enough of it to put it in. And so I feel bad for my housemates. I was screaming and they probably thought I was dying downstairs, but I was so happy for each of those guys because they, like Justin Hall especially, has been unbelievable so far this season for the Leafs. And so nice to see them get rewarded with their first goals of the season. For Mikheyev, that's a huge monkey off the back because he's been all around the net, but just hasn't seemed to score. And of course, this is how he's going to do it. So really happy for those guys. And yeah, just a big minute is what it took for the Leafs to get control of the lead, and a team that now has been way, way, way more responsible defending. And you feel a little bit safer with the lead than I've ever felt ever in my time as a Leafs fan.
I'm starting to hold my breath a little less going into the third period with those two goal leads. Um, I don't know if your broadcast had this, but it was really funny timing on mine. They were discussing that only the Leafs only had 4 goals from a defenseman, with the Dermott goal being the fourth, as Hall rips that clap bomb. They're like, oh, I guess that's 5 now. And I mean, the story of the Maple Leafs so far this season has been the big four. Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and Nylander have been doing as much as they're getting paid to do, and it's been enough to push us to the top. And when the other teams have their team meetings, their analysis before the game, you know who their book is on. So it means when guys like Dermott, when guys like Hall touch the puck, that the every other team defender, they have to keep their peripheral awareness on, okay, where are the big four? Are they on the ice? And it just opens up the space that much more. Um, and you love to see the players take advantage of it and take those open shots. Kind of Dermot's goal reminiscent of the first one Spezza had on his hat trick the other night. I loved that 4-on-4 pressure. A lot of the big four aforementioned had a huge part in just maintaining that zone pressure that fatigued the Habs defense to get there. And then the Mikheyev goal, similar to the one scored by the third line the other night against Vancouver, just get in the forecheck, get behind the net, and move the puck and crash the net. Good things will happen. I'm almost more excited for Thornton to come back to see Hyman back on that third line consistently than to see Thornton on that first line, because I think when Mikheyev and Kerfoot get their game just up to the next level, with both of them scoring goals in the past week, hopefully the confidence helps them get there. And a guy like Hyman, who's just always such a spark, that third line is going to be so deadly coming off. Okay, you guys just had to defend Matthew Marner, Tavares Nylander. Well, we're just going to go forecheck, punch you out. And if you get the tightest bit sloppy, that sort of play is going to get a puck in the back of the net. It's so great to be cheering for the number one team.
Yeah. I will scream this from the rooftops until he is no longer a Leaf, but I love Zach Hyman. He just, the energy he provides is unparalleled. And I his brother goes to or went to Western. I'm not sure where he is now, but he was in the same program as me, and I did a an assignment with him way back, but I never had a chance to talk to him about his brother. I only really found out that they were related after we had finished the project. I don't know if he would answer my questions, but fun little kind of degrees of friendship there. Um, yeah, just love Zach Hyman. And if you look at it from the other side, I think Habs Twitter was melting down a little bit during that game on Wednesday, which I'm not going to complain about. Some calling for Carey Price, which is just ridiculous, and those Habs fans probably don't know anything about hockey. The ones calling for Carey Price, uh, I saw them. Yeah, it looks like this Habs teams are starting to figure them out. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Uh, they just like another loss last night to the Oilers where they didn't manage to score a goal, and Philip Deneau has not scored his first goal of the season yet, and he's their top line center. So just it was a team that was doing it by committee very early on in the season and has an identity, which means something. But I think teams are starting to figure out that there's a way that you can play this team where it really reduces their potency on the offensive side, because they had been leading the NHL in goals scored, and now they're most definitely not. So yeah, just if you're a Habs fan, you gotta be a little bit concerned because again, really, really great team, really solid, and of course your goaltender is your best player, but I don't know if they can match up when the top four on the Leafs are buzzing. It's just a superior level of top end talent, and that can make a difference in the NHL.
Yeah, even, I mean, Matthews extends his point streak, getting an assist on Hyman's empty netter. But just when those two lines are going to come out and play physical, play strong, try and generate scoring opportunities, it's going to have a fatiguing effect and open up the ice for other players. And I think the book wasn't out on Suzuki and Anderson in particular as like Montreal's top players, and that, as it's one thing to have that hot explosive dark horse start, but then once the book is out, once like, okay, in our team meetings, these are the guys we have to focus on, can you continue to do that? Can you do, as we're talking about with the Leafs, like generate some opportunities for other players? Or is it a matter of making those adjustments? And you see it go back and forth. Like one of my go-to examples for hockey would be Vladimir Tarasenko. Came in, scored 2 goals on his first 2 shots in the NHL, had a huge start, and then teams figured him out. Like he was used to that Russian wide ice. They started checking him a little narrower. They made their counter adjustments, and then he returned to form with some counter adjustments. we speak a lot about team culture. The Habs, hate to say it, they have a great one. So down but not out at the moment for the Habs. I won't be watching it because UFC will be on, but
Yeah.
excited for the next one Saturday.
Yeah, the deep, dark inner Leafs fan in me is going, we can say all this great stuff and be so excited, and the Habs will come out and drop 7 on us or something on Saturday night. So fingers crossed that the trends continue to go the way they are going.
My deep dark inner Leafs fan is saying, yeah, but you're still gonna first round playoff exit. But
Okay. Let's move off of this before we get too sad. Other key teams in the North Division, the Flames are now starting to figure things out. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They beat the Jets on Wednesday in Dubois, or on Tuesday in Dubois' debut, and they beat the somber-looking Canucks last night. The Canucks have now lost 6 in a row and have really fallen down the table. The Flames are making their way. They're 2 points back of the Jets. They are 3 points back of the Oilers with 3 games in hand. So it's that middle kind of section, Oilers, Jets, Flames, is going to be really fun to watch, especially the Battle of Alberta. You can never turn that down.
yeah, I think they might have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. They're trying out Bennett with Gaudreau
and Monahan.
Yeah. So if that can be a consistent source of offense, then 1, they've figured out that line. They've kind of had a rotating player over the years there, and 2, maybe the Bennett trade talks goes away. So yeah, I'm hoping the Habs drops down and we have a middle 4 to talk about there. But that is definitely the most competitive stretch in the Canadian division right now.
You look at it right now, if the Jets win their next game, they jump into second on the table. So yeah, it is competitive. I think between the Jets and the Canadians, and then the Oilers and the Flames are in their kind of third tier there, because the Oilers with their games in hand, or the extra games played, and the Flames just having a couple more losses. So yeah, it's kind of split right now. Leafs, Habs, Jets, Oilers, Flames, which is not a bad separation. For, for the 4 teams I picked are in those 5, so I'm not going to complain. All right. Different story. Let's go to off the ice and talk about Sportsnet's very own Brian Burke becoming the president of hockey operations for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't know who saw this coming. I certainly didn't. And we had all over Twitter the whole I don't know what you want to call it, but everyone's saying, goodbye, Brian. We love you. We're going to miss you. What a teammate, blah, blah, blah. Brian Burke's not my favorite person. I appreciated some of the things he said on Hockey Night in Canada, but it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Penguins. He finally gets Sid after 16 years.
Yeah, I enjoyed the variety of the panel. Like I wouldn't enjoy a panel that's just composed of like Brian Burke, Don Cherry, and 1 or 2 others, but having one of those voices mixed in there adds a nice flavor. So miss him there. Be interesting. I mean, it's just a once in a lifetime opportunity to serve as management for generational players like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, who, down but not out. Can they make one last run? Something's not quite clicking for them. I don't know. See if the old school mentality of Burke alongside Ron Hextall, who formerly was serving with the Flyers, which he helped build them to be the team that they are now. So, I look at Burke's tenure in management with the Leafs and the Flames, and he helped he he helped turn them from kind of rebuild into like starting the foundations, but it wasn't quite enough. It wasn't quite there. He drafted some good talent, made some interesting trades, but it never quite clicked. I think joining a slightly more competitive looking to win now franchise in the Penguins. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Mike Sullivan, the former Pens GM, made a like I think record-setting number of trades in like his 2-3 year span. So be interesting to see if they try and match that pace, what they think this team needs. We'll be happy to cover it as soon as there's some trade news or deals out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they'll be looking for that next Kessel or maybe another solid D man to either replace or put with Letang, because I've heard his name in the market.
Yeah, and you've got to think if it doesn't go well quickly, like Malcolm Crosby might want out. It's not unthinkable at this point.
Oh, that would be wild.
I can't imagine, but I'd like to see Crosby in the finals once more. So I will support whatever makes that happen,
All right.
except
We
him going to the Canadians.
Yeah. Oh, God. We will move from Pennsylvania to the state of Ohio and the Columbus Blue Jackets with a surprising but not surprising story, as you probably could have called this happening. Definitely not this early along in the tenure, but Patrick Laine getting benched in his earlier games against or on the Blue Jackets, and I don't think it had much to do with Torts, but obviously the benching happens and people point out the similarities of Dubois and of course Laine. I don't know, he just, I guess, has seemed to create friction wherever he goes.
Yeah, I mean, the sun rises in the east. John Tortorella benches another player who happens to be a superstar. A couple different directions you can go with this. We've learned a little more since it happens. It seems Laine was benched for mouthing off to an assistant coach, which lends itself to the friction narrative. Kind of I'd love to have the full story on that. Kind of surprised, like you arrive at this new organization, what mindset are you gonna walk in with? Mouthing off, not a great one. John, but at the time of the benching, they were tied in that game, and it was like, really, you're gonna bench the best goal scorer you have on your roster? But hey, they eke out a win with the other player in the trade, Roslovich, coming up big, and they've since won another. So hard to criticize a winning team. It's I'm curious though, because I think there's a lot of great NHL coaches out there. There's not very many players who can score at Patrick Laine's level. So from a organizational management perspective, you have Tortorella and his peculiar coaching philosophies, which has served the Blue Jackets fairly well over the last 3-4 years, and kind of he's built what the team identity is right now. So are they going to go with that, or are they going to do everything they can to court Laine? And it's going to be dependent on both ends. Like if Laine is mouthing off already, what is he going to get a little humbler? Is he going to buy into Tort's system? And how hard is Torts going to, I feel stupid asking this. Torts isn't going to bend. He's not going to change his mind on a single thing. So it really comes down to, will Laine buy in, or is this just going to be a temporary stop for him?
Yeah. Yeah, it Columbus, and that's one of the reasons they've been successful, and you have to have respect for Torts, is that he is unwavering in his treatment no matter who you are. Laine already came out and said that he deserved the benching. Again, we don't know the whole story. We don't know how much he actually believes that himself, but he said it, which at least is a step forward. And yeah, it will be something important to follow as the season goes along, because you only get so many chances in the NHL. And if Laine is going to continue to move on from teams, then at some point you have to realize what the root cause of the problem is. And it's not necessarily the philosophies of the teams you're playing for.
Yeah, I mean, no one is in a hurry to make a trade to pick up D'Angelo off the Rangers at the moment, because in this uh, shortened season with so much pressure, and like a locker room that's spending a ton of time together, chemistry is really important. And if you're Laine, even if you're thinking like, okay, I don't want to stick around on this Columbus team for too long, as an RFA, your best way out of Columbus is to put up a season so spectacular that teams are willing to sign you to a contract Columbus just can't match, which I don't know the cap specifics of Columbus or if they'll be able to match anything a la Weber. But yeah, it's in Laine's best interest to get as much ice time as he can, and it's in Columbus's best interest to have the best goal scorer on the ice they can, as that is a asset they're going to be lacking over the stretch of the season, and they're in a really tight division. So they won their last one. Curious to watch Columbus and see how that dynamic unfolds.
Absolutely. It should be an excellent weekend of sports coming up. Not to mention, 12 days from now, we lose the NFL, but the MLB pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training in just under 2 weeks. So we will start jumping in on the baseball action in a couple of pods. And I'm just really excited to cover it all with you, buddy. And want to thank everyone for listening once again. We appreciate the support and hope that everyone's enjoying it. Stay safe, stay happy. Max, take it away.
Yeah, to add to that, the new long-term goal of this podcast is work towards that YouTube monetization. We've got about 989 subscribers to go on the YouTube channel before we can start thinking about that. So if you're listening to this through a podcasting network and you've got 30 seconds, I'd appreciate, search on YouTube, Sports Next Door, click subscribe. Happy for people to listen anywhere, whether it's iTunes, Google, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, and through our web player. But would really appreciate the YouTube subscription. And until next time, Sports Next Door signing off.